Thank you for joining us on The Big Story. Honorable Mala Jaulawi, good to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Samson. Thanks for having me here. And viewer at home, thanks for listening and watching us as well.
Constitutionally, presidents, governors are given the prerogative of mercy as a tool. What they use it for is something we are going to talk about on this show. We have seen situations where amnesty was granted. We have seen situations where sentences were reduced. We have seen situations where the government decided to clear some names after years of being convicted or probably being accused of some offenses. But in the context of Nigeria, would you say the prerogative of mercy has been an advantage or a disadvantage?
It depends on the way we look at it. It is advantage in some instances, and it can be disadvantage as well. But all in all, we have seen a situation that at least when people during the people outcry and backlash, the recent clemency, pardon that was given to a particular woman in Nigeria was turned to clemency. And for you to know that, depending on how we look at it, government can be able to listen to people and test, their ability to be able, the pressure of the people reflect on the government decision. So we have seen that we have seen a situation whereby after who and cry of a lot of people, so many people in Nigeria, a president doesn't resign his decision, and they made it to be clear, and clemency was given, pardon was given to Sanesu Buhari sometimes ago by President Obasanjo, which we don't think is right. It's too early, it's too short. The times of his conviction and when it was given was too short. To that, we can say it's a disadvantage. But what are we going to do if the president doesn't resign his decision?
Okay, now let's go back a little bit in history. In 2009, the Amnesty program, the Niger Delta militants were involved. And the administration of Umar Musa Yar'Adua gave thousands of militants in the Niger Delta amnesty after years of armed struggle that disrupted oil production in that region. And notable beneficiaries were government Ekpe Mupolo, also Mujahid Dokubo Asari, and Ateke Tom. Those were the notable beneficiaries. But then there were so many other beneficiaries. Some of them even got scholarships to study abroad at that time. And the implication was that militants decided to surrender their weapons at that time. And government provided stipends, training, and rehabilitation for them. Oil production increased significantly after the program. That was in the South at that time. And also, Borno governor, convicted of corruption, that is Alimodu Sheriff at that time, was linked to controversial clemency discussions, though not formally pardoned in the context. However, the widely known corruption-related pardon was granted to the pre-Alamesia and under the Goodluck Jonathan administration in 2013. A former Bayelsa state governor who was convicted of corruption in 2007 was granted a presidential pardon by the National Council of States. And it brought a lot of controversy at that time. It was criticized locally and internationally and raised concerns about Nigeria's anti-corruption efforts. And there was also a former Army general convicted for coup, that is Oladipo Dia. He was accused of plotting a coup against the regime of General Sani Abacha at that time in 1997. And of course, the administration of Abdulsalami Abubakar, General Abdulsalami Abubakar at that time, granted him pardon in 1998. And after Abacha's death, Dia and several others were released and effectively pardoned. Let me take one more, because we have a lot of them. Former military governor, Tajuddin Olarewaju, of course, under the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo at that time, in the early 2000s. He was among those granted clemency after military-era convictions. We can go on and say the former governor of Taraba State, Jolly Yame, also Joshua Dariye, of course, Yakubu Gowon too at the point. We have so many of them who have benefited from all of this. If clemency are granted, especially to notable people in the society, what happens to those who don't really have that name to put them in reckoning for presidential pardon or amnesty. That is one. Two, as a country, does amnesty or state pardon rubbish the effort of civil society organizations, the security agencies, and of course, the judiciary arm of government?
You must realize that all these were brought about to the table by United States of America, whereby they try as much as possible to reduce the bureaucracy and the problem that are associated with a lot of when they have to. I'm talking about the amnesty. When you are talking about how the expensive, how costly it can be when you are going through the judiciary process. That is why a lot of this were being introduced. But let's talk about the clemency. Let's talk about the amnesty. Amnesty is really different. The Niger Delta amnesty is different because what we depend upon is oil. And when there is disruption in our oil production, it's going to affect generally the national revenue. So them being given that amnesty, and it wasn't that amnesty itself that gave them that encouragement to drop their arms. It's about the package that it takes, because a lot of them are giving salary, monthly stipend every time, and it's not small amount of money. Really, it's not small amount of money, and a lot of them were sent abroad to go for training, to train themselves so they can be better to society. These were the juicy things that are introduced to them. It is not about that amnesty. A lot of them are ready to die because of the cost, because they are benefiting a lot from that. From illegal thing they are doing, because we are talking about the oil bunkering and a lot of things that are associated with their job, and they are seeing a lot of money there. Now, let's talk about the clemency and amnesty. A lot of political elites that were being given this amnesty and clemency in order for them to return to the political arena. That is why you can see likes of Salisu Buhari, Joseph Davide, Jolly Yame being given that. They think because the political class loves themselves, and they think they are going to be able to bounce back to the system. But what has it done? Look at what happened to a convicted person in form of the former governor of Delta State, that is now one of the big, when you are talking about the godfather of politics in Delta State. He's still being respected, and is dine and wine with the president right now. For you to know their importance, because they command a lot of political force and they have that political influence in the society. Who is going to joke with that? So when you see this, it works both ways, because we have seen a lot of masses, people who are not having money, that have benefited as well, because you are talking about the governors. Governors always like to show mercy, probably when they are looking for election, or you can see what happened in Osho State. A convicted armed robber was released by Adeleke, Governor Adeleke, and when he was reintroduced back to the society, it was known because of all these bloggers who really, the way the story was written to the public, he attracted a lot of sympathy. The guy that was released, that they said that he was not a peasant armed robbers, I was convicted and was released. He went back to do the trade again. He went back to that criminal activities. So for you to know that it has its own advantages and it has its disadvantages, and a lot of downtrodden people benefit from this.
If you mention downtrodden people, let's go to Bauchi State this morning. Just yesterday, Governor Bala Mohammed granted amnesty to 73 Bauchi convicts. And of course, according to this story right here, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has granted amnesty to 73 convicts, 7 various prison terms for different offenses in correctional centers across the state. Addressing the beneficiaries at the ceremony held at the new banquet hall of the government house on Wednesday, the governor said the prerogative of mercy is a sacred trust requiring wisdom, restraint, and careful evaluation. Now, he tied this to the Ramadan period. As he said, Ramadan is a season of mercy, reflection, repentance, renewal, and devotion. While justice preserves order, mercy restores hope. That was the message by Bala Mohammed yesterday. Now, that takes me to this particular question, because it brings us to the rationale behind amnesty, pardons, and so many other ways of making sure that justice is served the right way in the country. And some people have even said, just like you said earlier, that it curbs the excesses of the judicial arm of government. If there seems to be a harsh judgment, clemency can actually restore hope for such person. Okay, the question now is that if you look at the recent pardons in Nigeria, both this administration, the one before, of course, amnesty with amnesty decisions too. Do you think they are primarily motivated by national interest, political calculations, or humanitarian consideration?
You are going to say humanitarian condition. Why? We must realize that the name prison has been changed to correctional centers because the word prison they think is too harsh. They want people to be corrected in their ways of thinking. Probably whatever they are doing wrong, thank God we have that in Nigeria. Our system is similar to a place like United States of America. But in Europe, despite the fact that we have some jurisdiction whereby you are talking about there are some people who are on death row and they're supposed to have been executed. And we had, when Oshiomhole said that, the axemen are no more because there are a lot of people who are supposed to have been executed on his table and he's ready to sign it. But the axemen are not there anymore. In a place like Europe, you don't do that. In all European Union, you cannot execute anybody. It is going to be live imprisonment or without option of parole. There are some prisoners who are like that. But in Nigeria, what they are doing, they are sometimes about justice. We remember at the time of Boriski that a lot of corruption that is happening in our correctional centers, whereby they have really corrupted our parole board in Nigeria, whereby a lot of them accept money and some people will just spend about some few months in prison and they are going to be released because of money. It happens mostly in states. So with what is happening, we knew that we can still, with social media we are having, a lot of secret is now letting out. So our correctional center must be a correctional center. And whatever we do, we must have human face. Like you said about Bala Mohammed, this is time of Ramadan and it's time of forgiveness as well. I knew, how many have you seen in Southwest or Southeast or South that have done that? A lot of them will do it, some do it time of Christmas in order to show mercy that this is time of giving or the other. But in northern Nigeria, what Bala Mohammed did, we are even getting closer to election cycle again. He's going to have some people that are going to love it and they are going to be able to have interest in that kind of governor.
You mentioned earlier that when it comes to the word prison is too harsh. But it's still being used in the U.S. just like you mentioned the other time. The word prison, for me, if you have committed an offense, you should go to prison because that is where punishment is served. Okay? For some Nigerians who have failed to commit crimes, it is because they fear losing their freedom. Okay? And there are several other names which can be called, just like you said, in Australia and some places. They use correctional facility. Some use penitentiary. US also does that. There are different names you can call it. But all they are trying to say is, you are going to lose your freedom for this period of time, even though that there is a room for you to actually change when you get in there. But away from that, so many people have this perception that most times when this is done, it is political. Of what advantage is state pardon to the society? Not just the political benefit for the people, just like you said that the election cycle is almost here. And you can easily link that of Bala Mohammed and the 73 inmates that were released to politics in one way and then to Ramadan in the other way, depending on how you see it. But then how important is state pardon to a country, to a state, when we are not talking about politics?
You see, this is state pardon and clemency, or whatever the name you are going to give to it. People change with time. We saw what happened to a lot of great leaders when they went to prison. It's going to give them to be able to calm down, to be able to assimilate a lot of things. We have seen people that went to prison. I've forgotten the name of this this black that changed to Islam in US. What is his name? I will remember. He converted to Islam in prison because he can be able to read a lot of. He asked them to study the Bible and a Quran, and he was Malcolm X. He was able to assimilate and change his way. A lot of people go to prison and they will study Bible, and they are going to. If you see them, the way they are going to be behaving in prison, you are going to see that they have changed. So that is why a lot of time they call them correctional centers. And because of the attitude of the people when you are talking about religion, if you sometimes I'll joke with them, you are going to go to prison. They'll say in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. And I will tell you that when Jesus was arrested, he was kept somewhere, whether we like it or not. You see, because offense can be made even subconsciously when you don't even know that. But sometimes that is why they say there is no ignorance in law. But sometimes some people commit offense that they don't know is an offense. So that is why in the pardon given to people justify the fact that we must expect people change at all the point in time. If they change to good, they can be released to the society because they can be beneficiary to the society as well. In a place like United States of America, we have seen that a lot of genius is being discovered in prison. And they are always used for the state. And when they are useful to the state, what do you expect? There was a time in Britain that they have to take all the prisoners and the vagabond to some island. I think is in Australia or Australia or thereabout. Australia. So, and you can see what Australia is all about. And when you see their generation, they are criminals. So you expect this. We need to give some people who deserve pardon and clemency, so they are going to change their way of life and they are going to be beneficial for the society.
Okay, very quickly, let me ask you this. I haven't seen pardons for people like former governor of Bayelsa State, Alamesia. You have seen that of Joshua Dariye, Jolly Yame, who got pardons from the state. Do you think this will undermine the effort of ICPC, FCC, and stop them from aggressively prosecuting corruption cases in the country?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because it's still with them. People knows, and that is why now a lot of governors will know that if they steal, this is what is going to happen to them. Because when they are not, look at what's it called, Alamesia. Alamesia, before Alamesia can accept that, it was through plea bargaining, and they made him to realize that this is what the condition is going to be given, these are not. And mind you, because of that stigma, it doesn't even live long before he died. We believe maybe he has some complication when it's come to thinking about what the stigma he had in the society, and he was not given that respect. How many people have been hearing about Jolly Yami or Dari right now? Because the stigma is still there. Because court process is always long. There was a time Kalu said that he has been in the EFCC, battling with EFCC charges for more than 12 years. He was convicted and he was sent to prison. But because of the mistake that was made, according to the judge, probably the judge who doesn't supposed to preside on the case, came back to preside on it. That was the technicality they used to dismiss the case. Capitalize on. It's not that he wasn't convicted. He was convicted, of course. And I think
it was let's go on technical ground.
On technical ground. No, this is. I wonder that why does some governor doesn't even think they can change? Why, when they see this kind of people, they know that the ICPC and the FCC, they are not a joke at all. That is why a lot of governors take them to court, including our governor, Sheyi Makinde, took the EFCC to court.
To stop them from prosecuting them or investigating them.
That is it, because they are under investigation. They knew they are not going to find this when they leave office, and that is for sure. Why do you think people like Bala Mohammed is now crying? And when they talk, they are going to. Dariye was APC when he was sent to prison, including Jolly Yami. They are all APC. So when they always cry about politics, about being victimized, I laugh. If you don't have case to answer, just go there
Okay.
Answer the case and leave them.
So do you think there should be clearer legal guidelines or framework or restrictions when it comes to how prerogative of mercy can be exercised by governors and presidents?
And there is no yardstick for it. All of them are friends, and they are going to benefit themselves whether we like it or not. It is not only that. You saw what happened during the time of one Yetunde that killed her husband. He was released even less than a year by President Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde. He doesn't even know about the case. He just signed it. He's not even up to about 6-7 months when he came to the office and he signed it. For you to know that it's not right. Some people need to be punished. For somebody who premeditated and killed her husband, he was supposed to serve life imprisonment, not less than 20 years before he can be released. It is not based on technicality. He was just pardoned, not even clemency. Probably he was lucky because he wasn't like, what is the difference from Yetunde?
Are the governors solely responsible? Are the governors solely responsible, or the people who actually put this forward to them?
It is not about that.
It's impossible for the governors to select these people by themselves.
See what happened with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The person that killed the husband has about 3 kids or 2 kids with the husband, but Yetunde has none. He was being pardoned because the children still need to do what? They need to feel their mother, whether you like it or not. That's the reason they gave. If not even because of the husband, both of them has children together.
So,
what about Yetunde that was pardoned?
Who bears the brunt when we continue to grant pardon to people who have actually committed such heinous
of course, the society, because sometimes they still continue what they are doing. That was the example I gave about Governor Adeleke of Osun State, when he gave the clemency because of the publicity and the public perception that the man, and then the judge that prosecuted the case was telling them that they did all their diligent work on this guy, that they knew that he didn't change, and when he was plugged back to the society, it resulted to be committing the same offenses. So for you to know that sometimes the judges are doing good, they before they can be able to, because a lot of them are human as well. They cannot just send you to prison just anyhow. So I believe the governor and the president are to research more, investigate before they give clemency
talking about investigation. Do you think the State House of Assembly and the Federal House of Reps should now have stronger oversight functions on screening of names presented to sitting governors and presidents? That is one. In many countries, clemency processes involve transparent advisory boards. People who have no connection to power, they are just selected at random. Check these cases. Do you think they deserve this? Of course, that is where you have these things being done in other countries too. Do you think Nigeria also needs to constitute some boards of such?
Yeah, Nigeria has. A lot of them has been used with corruption. That is why they are giving clemency and pardon anyhow. We have Nigerian prison has a board of pardon and whether clemency or a parole. They have it, but a lot of them were really corrupt. I think they are even worse than politicians. So for you to know, the politician can be assessed. They can be, a lot of them can be extracted, and their intention can be well made known to the people. But a lot of people who are in parole board, we don't even know them. They are under the curtain, who we don't know. That was what happened in Osun State. Do you know the people, the bloggers, put the name and the number of the judge that judicate on the guy that was sent to the prison, and they bully him.
It was exposed. It
was exposed, unlike the parole board. How many people know that? That is why we can see what happened with Boriski. They asked Boriski for 5 million naira before he can be given that pardon. Does it supposed to be like that? That is why immediately he came out, and you can see that people are not friendly, he ran abroad. You have never heard anything about Boriski after that scenario, because people knew how he got out. He got out of the system, and it is wrong.
You wanted to use she.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Very quickly, let's move on. Okay, looking ahead, how can Nigeria balance justice, mercy, and national stability when exercising power of amnesty and pardons?
I think if they can be able to do it the way it's done in United States of America, whereby when you are talking about this parole board, they have to be assessing them, they have to go to be monitoring them, see the kind of job they have, and make sure they are good to society. But in Nigeria, after they do the clemency and pardon, the pardon, they will just go and rest. They don't care whether they
don't check on them.
They don't check on them at all. You can imagine when you call a policeman is going to say he has no petrol in his car. Probably the person that called them as the one that is going to fill the tank, despite the fact that everything has been budgeted for. They are not going to respond to you. So you expect the parole board to be checking on anybody, just anyhow. They don't care anymore. They don't care what happened to the society. That is why we are just, all of us are behaving like somebody who is deranged. So I don't know what to say, but I think they have to do better. I think the assessor needs to be assessed as well.
Okay, if you're advising the government at this time on how clemency is granted in the country, what would you say to the government at this time?
I think the government know right now because the power of social media is now there. People have to be using it as well. But a lot of people that they commit, we have seen a lot of people, their children have been raped and they went to prison. And they're supposed to be monitoring all these people. But probably because a lot of them doesn't know how to put food on the table, and they are committed with different kind of things. I remember some few years back when George Bush wanted to contest for presidency, and he has been nominated by a Republican. He was the governor of Texas then, and there was a woman that was supposed to be executed, and there was a lot of public outcry because the woman has changed to be to a good Christian, and they pleaded upon him to stop the execution. And because then he was a rogue. George Bush was a rogue. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about anything. Well, he doesn't care about probably the general public are going to use that to rate him much higher. You know what? He signed the death and the woman was executed. Because he doesn't want to use that as an excuse because he wants to contest for presidency. He knew that his rating will be high if he stopped that execution. He doesn't stop it. I think those are the kind of leader we have. If they think they do what is right.
Okay, it's a fine place to leave. I say thank you to you, Honorable Omala Jaolaoye, for sharing your insight with us on this important national conversation. The debate around amnesty and state pardons is ultimately a debate about justice, leadership, and the long-term stability of our democracy. While the prerogative of mercy is a powerful constitutional tool, its implication must continually be weighed against public expectations for accountability and the rule of law. Nigeria's challenge, perhaps, is finding the right balance where forgiveness does not weaken justice and justice does not stand in the way of peace and national progress. And that is where we leave the conversation on the big story today. Samson Balogo is my name, wishing you a productive morning. Stay with us on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, Ibadan, as we bring you Trend Watch.